Hi guys, today I'm going to show you about the Huawei P30 Lite, which I actually didn't believe was a mid-range phone. It actually sounded so much like a flagship phone to me, with coming in with a 24 megapixel rear camera, 8 megapixel wide lens over here, and then a 2 megapixel for the aperture. And in the front we've got a 32 megapixel camera for your selfies, and then 4 gigs RAM on this particular one, with 128 gigs on board, still expandable to 512 gigs. To me, it definitely didn't sound like a flagship, and I couldn't help comparing it with my P30 Pro, which is Huawei's previous flagship phone. So it's amazing to think that last year's flagship is now being compared, well in my eyes, compared with 2019's mid-range phone. When in actual fact it should be compared with this other Lite version, which is the P20 Lite. But you just can't compare. This P30 Lite it feels so much better, it looks so much better, it responds so much better. But I don't want to just talk about the specs. I want to show you guys about the user experience, because that's what this review is about. So let's get out of here. Okay, we're back with the P30 Lite. So, like I said, I don't want to tell you all about the specs because you could just read that online. So let's not waste your time. It's a user-friendly budget line phone that's going to work for most people. You should never compare this with a flagship like I was doing earlier. It's not going to make sense because this is 3 times the price. Don't do that. Let's go out. Let's take some photos with this. See how that's going to do. Actually, let me get some shots right now. So in full daylight it's perfect. You've still got your aperture mode on this phone, so you can blur out the background perfectly. And the only thing is, you're not going to have the AI keying in all the time like you are on your flagship, where it detects that it should use the aperture or not. So you're going to have to enable that yourself, which is perfect, because sometimes on the flagship phone it gets enabled when you don't want it to get enabled. So to a normal user, you're not even going to be able to tell the difference that this is flagship and non-flagship until you actually start playing around with the camera on this phone. That's when you start seeing that Huawei did cut a few corners with the cameras, and that's about it. You don't have the full-on OLED screen that you do on the flagship, but this LED is perfect. Even in the sunlight, it's doing a great job. I can see everything pretty clearly. I can look back on my photos. It looks great to me. So let's go out in the real world and test this out now. So Huawei's been known for their cameras lately, and the P30 Lite is no exception. It's got the triple camera, but it's nowhere near the flagship. Obviously, being a third of the price, you don't expect it to be anything near, but with the triple cameras you do expect something. So the third lens here is actually a wide angle camera. So what that's going to let me do is, if I want to get a shot like this, it lets you zoom out. It's almost like a GoPro lens if you've seen what that looks like. So it's a wider, like here. I'll show you this picture and then I'll show you a normal picture. So let me get a normal picture. I'll post these up in the video somewhere around here and you can check that out. But overall, I'm really impressed with this phone. As a budget line phone, it's going to do a splendid job. I can't flaw it for anything. Just don't have high expectations. Don't try and compare it to a flagship phone like what I'm trying to do. Otherwise, this phone is a perfect blend. It's going to get your average job done. You can play games on this thing. There's no lag whatsoever. So from that point of view, it's just so solid. It's difficult to flaw. So if you're in the market for a mid-range smartphone, I don't actually think you need to look anywhere else. This is it. It's a done deal. Sold. Let me know what you guys think of the phone. If you own one, comment below, are you happy with it? If you don't own one, would you purchase one of these if you were in the market for mid-range? Or if not, what would be your choice for a mid-range smartphone? I know this is a bit awkward, but can you tell me, what phone do you have?